Welcome to Talk Design Podcast, the space where creativity meets conversation. I'm Adrian Ramsey, your host, and as someone deeply entrenched in the world of design, I'm thrilled to introduce you to the minds that inspire me in the hope that they will spark something special within you too. From a design past crafting women's swimwear to pushing the boundaries of performance sportswear, from mountaineering to international yachting, to implementing systematic innovation solutions that transcend boundaries in aerospace industry. My heart remains rooted in architecture, and exploring the emotional tapestry woven by built spaces is my fascination. My journey in design has been what can only be described as a life of design. I want to thank you for lending me your ears. I'm eager to embark on this next episode together. My guest on Talk Design today is Rob Gomez. Now, Rob is a photographer of architecture from Austin, Texas. Now, he's not from Austin originally, but he's going to tell us about that. And I've been lucky enough to be working through a bunch of homes with Rob that he has been photographing for the American Institute of Architecture branch Austin for their homes tour. And so I wanted to dig in and give you a bit of an understanding of who Rob really is, because he'll talk a bit about a house here and there and stuff, but this is actually about Rob and what he does and what he brings to photography, what he brings to architecture, and the places that he's allowing this architecture to travel to that wouldn't get out there otherwise. So Rob, thanks so much for making time, man. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Adrian. It's good to be back and talking to you again.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's so interesting, that thing that by doing what you do, people get to see what they would never get to see.
Right.
You a handful turns into thousands because the opportunity wouldn't exist otherwise. And if it's published, then it turns into tens of thousands and so on. I think that's pretty amazing. And there's this kind of, I want to say, sneaky neighbor. It's like spy on your neighbor kind of thing. Oh, I know that house. I drive past that house. Or, oh, I know that street. Oh, is that what's up that driveway? I love that piece about architectural photography because somebody lives in it. And we've got this fascination of looking out the curtain and going, oh, yeah, right. That's that house. So what's it really like inside? So I really want to dig into that. And then, the form of houses as well, which I think obviously close to my heart. And then also how did you even get started in this? Where did you come from? What were you doing? And why photography and why architectural photography?
Sure. Yeah. It's a long story. I'll try to sort of get through the interesting bits and trudge along here. But I've been interested in photography since I was very young. My dad was a photographer. He did more kind of tourism photography in Cancun, shooting hotels and making postcards back in the day, this kind of thing. And so I got into it a little bit through that. Back then, I just had a camera and I would shoot whatever would pique my interest.
Mm-hmm.
And then really what I would consider the first real step into getting to shoot architecture was a trip that I had to Europe in 2018. It would have been. Again, this was just a personal trip for me for fun. I was there for a month with a little point and shoot camera, nothing special. And I would just I went with some friends for half of it and then was by myself for the rest. So there was a lot of walking the cities, taking pictures that some that I'll share here of that trip where It was just kind of funny that I consider when I was shooting architecture before I even knew that I was shooting architecture, if that makes sense. I was still, I liked landscapes, I liked this and that, but part of that included oh, this is an interesting building here in the city, or this church here has some interesting architectural elements that got my attention back then because I wouldn't say I was like, a connoisseur at all or even really knew anything about it at that point. I didn't even know architectural photography was a thing really that existed
Yeah, right.
when I was back then. But it was a sort of so anyway, that trip gave me this very rich little collection of images that were very special to me because it was, all these different countries, cities that I ended up being invited to do this kind of artist showcase thing. Because I was posting a lot just through Instagram. So that was like a hobby, my photography kind of. I did this show, I sold some prints, this and that. And then there was this company, Delta Millworks, that is from Austin. They make lumber here for all kinds of different architectural projects.
Yeah, okay.
And
I don't know those guys. I'm gonna look them up, but yeah, cool.
oh yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had these friends that started this company that made like little sort of intimate events, concerts, dinners of like small groups of people, very curated events. And they had planned one of these at Delta's mill, like at their actual
Yeah.
facilities where they do like the shoshugiban, they burn the wood. And I was helping them out doing photography for that event. And so I shot a picture of the owner and CEO doing the wood burning demonstration. And I posted it on social media and they saw it, they liked it. They were like, can we purchase this image? Do you do this type of photography? We have some like furniture these tables we made.
Yeah, right.
And that at that point, I had not really even thought about doing photography for money, like as a job. It
I
had
love
been
it.
one of those things. It had been one of those things that was always like in the back of my head, but it was that switch of like, how do you turn something that you love into something
Yeah.
that you can make a with? And so in that way, I always say how it kind of came to me, luckily.
Yeah, well, it
And
kind of presented itself, didn't it? While we were doing
this,
that, I just opened Delta Millworks on
yeah,
Instagram while we were talking, went, oh, okay, yeah, right. Cool. And they've got
yeah,
some beautiful photography on there as well, like architectural
yeah,
photography. Yeah,
for
cool.
sure. Yeah,
But
and so
so the collision of your friends doing this
mhm,
event there
right,
ended up with you going to shoot the event, doing the photo of the owner, yeah, or founder,
right, yeah,
and
yeah, totally.
and then that moving you to going, oh, I can shoot architecture as well from your European time.
Right, yeah, sort of. So once they had purchased that one photo that wasn't really anything to do with architecture. They wanted
Yeah.
it more because it was showing, their wood and everything. But their product obviously is very it's wood, so it's going to end up in houses and restaurants and hotels and whatnot. And so
Yeah.
I think they were very new and growing at that time in Austin. And so they didn't really have all that sorted out. And so they were like asking me, "Do you shoot this kind of stuff?" And I was very, I'll do anything at that point. I
Yeah,
was
exactly.
trying to take this step into, can I, do this for a living? And so they would, oh, we have this house that used our wood in this neighborhood. Can you go shoot it? And I would go shoot it for them now for
Yeah.
getting paid, and
Yeah.
so did a bunch of those with them, and through that was able to build a little bit of a portfolio because they happened, again, kind of lucked into them providing such a high quality product that the houses that I was shooting were like a little bit higher tier houses. And there I was, with my little camera, kind of shooting these projects, not really knowing at that point anything about the more technical aspects of architectural photography.
Uh-huh.
Like if I look back at those photos, it's like pretty bad.
But damn, you got paid for them.
Yeah. And so I think that was enough to help me figure out this particular niche that was architectural photography
Yeah.
and forced me to dig into that and kind of learn more about that type of photography.
Yeah. Okay. So, because I've got some questions about that. One thing is, obviously you watch somebody create, Shushugi barn with, by firing up the wood, and that's pretty dramatic. It's cool. And
Yeah, yeah,
it's certainly something that when you're there and you smell it and you see it happening, you hear it work, the flame going up, etc. You go, oh wow, okay. It's a moment, like it really captures you in a moment.
yeah,
And then, like I imagine, I know when I first ever saw the wood, I'm like, why the hell would you use burnt wood? And that was my first
mm,
questioning. And then it was like, oh, these are all the reasons you use burnt wood. That, it self-protects itself, it makes it vermin-proof or, like termite-proof, etc. And I'm like, what the? Like, this is incredible. But prior to that, it was just black wood. I don't know. And then when you discover that next bit, then when you see some being burnt, especially if they do it in the stack and light the fire in the bottom and let it go up and
right.
break the four boards apart again. And then, when it can be burnt a little so that it leaves just dark rings on it, but you can still see it through, or
Mm,
when it's burnt really heavily, so it's really charcoal. And then the romance of all that attaches
yeah,
itself to you. And
yeah,
I think I was going to say the simplicity of it, yet it's time consuming, so it's not so simple, but it is simplicity and the artistry of how long to burn it for, all that. That's what captures me with it. And then I go, why wouldn't I want some of that close to me and how I live? And
yeah.
and for you, I go, I imagine that moment of seeing those things, and then there's something very beautiful about natural materials.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you'd gone to a plastic extrusion factory, you might not have got so excited.
Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, it was definite. Then their mill itself is like a very cool space too. It's just very, I mean, I tend to, another one of the photos I'll be sharing is from that, and it's just a very cool, kind of magical place with the light and everything. So
Do you want to share
it
those?
really lent it.
Do you want to share them now
Sure.
so that, look, if you're just listening to us, jump on YouTube if you can and have a look at these on YouTube, because you'll be seeing actual Rob's work as well as what we're talking about. I'm in for a surprise as well because I haven't seen these either.
Yeah,
Describe
go.
the space. Describe the space for people that can't see it. And we've kind of got like a trussed roof, but then we've got like stacks of lines of timber, a guy in there
Yeah.
as well, and then the light kind of falling through from the top.
Yeah, so this is very much in the thick of their work space, the assembly line, everything where they have all the various machines that they use where they're milling the wood, they're putting it through for different processes, which, I wouldn't be the best person to explain all of that. But
They'd
the,
be thicknessing it. They would be, like dressing it or not dressing it. It'd be raw or whatever. They'd be,
right.
and then milling it into the right sides and sizes, and then whether it's like got a tongue and groove finish on an edge or whether it's
Yeah,
just all those different things that how wood gets used in the construction industry. It's not all just flat logs.
totally. And then this is similar to what I was kind of talking to you about before of it's not 100% an architectural photo that I would classify it as that. It wasn't what I went in mind getting this photo. So Delta Millworks will every now and then have me go to their mill to capture a lot of like day in the life,
Hmm.
workspace of the mill, their workers, going through the day. And so this was just kind of one of those that they can use for whatever social media if they have
Yeah.
an article about. can kind of use it for whatever, but they like to have updated
It's
photos.
it's kind of like family photos, you know. You could shoot them when the kids are like, you know, born, but if you
Right.
don't take them as sort of like if you do take them as a sequential journey of the space and the place and the people, you know, like especially with
Yeah,
family photos, you see them growing up. But when you do something like this, it's also building a history library of
for sure.
time, light, all these
Yeah.
things of even just to some degree trend and whether they, you know, their values and the way they've done things maybe stay very similar over many, many years.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it's interesting. And machinery that is in the millworks, from my experience, is usually old. They do get new machines,
Yeah.
but they usually have these incredible machines from, you know, Germany and Italy and stuff all around, you know,
Yeah.
America as well, you know, that
For sure.
operate and these things are well maintained and they last like, you know, 50 or 100 years is like, you know, so
Yeah.
that's what we'd expect from it. It's
Yeah.
not a throwaway society.
No, 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 not at all. I mean, they mostly have a lot of these machines throughout the years. I've been working with them now for like 6, 7 years, and they definitely get in some new machines that will do newer things now with the type of products and finishes that they're
Mm.
wanting to offer. But like a lot of these machines are so cool because of how old they are, the ones that they're still using there and everything. And
Yeah.
just I mean the lighting in their whole mill is very, very cool. I don't know the full, I know it's a building that is quite old because their history, Delta's been around for 40 years,
Yeah, right.
but they have kind of really blown up in the last maybe 10, I'd say, maybe even a little bit less. But the remnants, like that, you can still very much see
The 40-year-old building in
the
the
40
within
year
the,
old
yeah.
version. Yeah. Yeah. I talk about that with the guys there that I work with every now and then. Where like when we first started doing photos there, they would be like, yeah, we had 3 or 4 guys on the line, they were working and we were doing the machines, and now they're on a whole different level of growth. So it's been cool to see that
You've
whole
probably,
process.
yeah, you've probably ended up documenting sort of like this massive punch of growth that Austin has had through photographing their factory, but or their works, but then also photographing the houses that they've gone, oh, we've got some lumber on this house, so would you go and grab
Yeah.
a picture of this? Because Austin's boom has only really been 10 years, maybe less, you know?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I've been here 10
Yeah.
years and I felt
Yeah.
like I moved here when it was, I mean, then I talked to a local and they're like, it's, I've been here since the 80s and so on. Everyone has their period whenever they moved, that's when,
Yeah.
things were
Taken off.
blowing up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I love these photos because I suppose they hark back to manual labor, simpler times,
Mm,
craftsmanship. You know,
yeah.
you had to know how to, like, even when you watch somebody with a piece of wood, you know, they'll pick it up, they'll look down at that. Somebody who knows how to read wood and
Yeah.
then go, yeah, we'd cut this out of that, we'd cut that out of that. No, 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 it's not. We're not going to cut that for that. You know, that kind of
Right.
thing. And
Yeah.
I work with a couple of guys here in Australia that they mill. We buy them timber pieces, but they'll mill it down to what we're making it into. And
Yeah.
they're like standing there looking at the timbers and rolling them. And yeah,
Yeah.
no, that piece is no. I need another piece that's got the grain like this. This piece isn't going to do this job because they know the end product that it's going to go into. And that's what these guys are doing. They're
Totally. Yeah.
bespoking it. It's a bespoke product.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So who's the guy in the
And
photo here?
so that is, I don't know his name. This is one of the many great Delta workers there. I would just kind of go along and catch interesting
Yeah.
shots, whether they were working with a particular machine, or sometimes in this case it was just how the light was working in that particular moment, that I just found that an interesting photograph with
Yeah. That's
him
cool.
there as well, because you take him away and it's like 70% of the
Hmm.
impact for me of the image, which plays into how I like to be very meticulous, I guess, just very careful when and if I have people in photos.
Yeah.
Again, this was the point of it, but even with architecture, like everything, it can be overdone now at times, and every photo has this person blurry through, or this person going up the stairs, or this and that.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it can be very, very effective, very cool. And I just kind of sort of feel it out in the moment, whether it would add or not, I think, to a particular image.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Oh,
Yeah.
it certainly makes this image because it creates such a
Right.
focal point.
Yeah.
And you get a sense of scale and yeah, I know lots else from it as well. Like it drags you right into, okay, so what's he doing? He's in action. Where's he going? He's not posed. He's passing, like yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
What else have you got from Millworks?
So I don't have another one from there. These, I think I have some that of what we were talking before,
Right.
of the
Oh,
sort of the
wow.
travel, where this, for instance, it's very funny, some of these, because after this trip, I had sort of compiled, as I mentioned, like my favorite images of the trip, the ones that I used for the show and everything. And then I always had my pile of like discards, the
Uh-huh.
ones of like, these, I don't, particularly like these. And so once I was pivoting toward architectural photography, I had a period where I went back through all these photos to try to find more portfolio material and stuff that might be interesting strictly
Mm-hmm.
in an architectural context. And I found some of these that I'll show here, like this one, where it's just funny to me that this was like a discard to me, and now I like just really like this image, because I don't know, maybe there was obviously a reason why I took it to begin with. I think it was like an interesting.
Well, it's an interesting building for starters. What is that building? Why at the end of a street have you got a tower with a big top tower on it? Where is it?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's I had the name whenever I posted. It's in Lisbon in Portugal,
Uh-huh.
and it is a sort of a very intentional, I think, lookout. Like there's the elevator there. I forget
Yeah.
why, the history of
Why
it,
they built it? Yeah, right.
or why they built it, but that must have been why I think I was compelled in that, because it's very, you have these narrow streets, and then you just have this like super tall
Skyscraper for
structure
Lisbon.
right down the middle of it there. But yeah, this was just one of those shooting architecture, I guess, before I even knew,
So
you know.
so my question is you just did this with a little point and push camera kind of thing.
Yeah,
Nothing too special.
right.
So did you alter it in post? Did you straighten your lines? Did you
I
what?
did. I think
Yeah.
this one, just because of the height of it and the angle, I don't think that I would have really been able to
Mate,
fully capture it to where I would get the straight lines like that.
yeah, that's what I was looking at. I'm going, so you've got all this precision in the photograph, and I'm going, damn, if you can just walk down the street and get that with a point and push.
Right.
But
This definitely came with the later knowledge of the more technical aspects of what
yeah.
is sort of required, I guess, to really show architecture as it's meant to be seen.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
while we've got this photo up, like so many well, for years, for many, many years, all architecture was shot with a tilt shift lens. And
Mm.
that was the way. Now I think that there's a lot more done in post-production. So the tilt shift, there are people who shoot without a tilt shift lens and they just alter it in post-production. They play with their photo in post-production. But take me through that. So this wasn't done with a tilt shift lens.
No, 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 no. I mean, and well, I'll preface just by saying that, yeah, now when I shoot, everything is with tilt shifts.
Yeah.
5%. Maybe, one time I'll pull out a different lens. But this, I mean, this was basically a kit camera that I took out. I bought a little camera, the kit lens that came with it, is all I had for this whole trip. But this was, I guess, and I don't tend to, I mean, nowadays I would never approach it this way, but it was one of those where I was able to save this shot with my later knowledge and being able to straighten it out a little bit to where it's not too distorted.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's not distorted. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's why, if you're able to just get it that way out of camera is obviously what you want to begin with. But there's also an element of even now if I went on a trip somewhere, just lugging around a tilt shift and try that, it's so much more effort required to really do, where it can maybe take away a little bit of the walking the city vibe of like you have a camera strap on your neck, if you're just trying to walk with a massive tripod and set up your tilt shift and all, it can be a lot, I think. And so now, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say my daughter, her name's Paris. She was named after the city, and she loves to travel, and she loves to take photographs. She loves photography. She takes photographs of bands often. Like she'll go to a concert and do photographs at a concert. Doesn't sell her work or anything. And then she's just done a couple of tours last year and this year, and then she's headed back this year to Europe. So she'll do 2 tours of Europe this year, and then and last year she spent 3 months or more out there, and just traveling on her own, discovering lots of cool stuff. And I see she's got an eye for it, but she doesn't have any knowledge of it. She hasn't studied it or anything else, and she hasn't grown up around she's grown up around an artistic family, but not photography. And with it, she would capture shots like this. And of course, I look from the architectural point of view and go, okay, so hold on, that needs a little of this or a little of this. It needs post-production. But she'll post her photos up on, her Instagram and stuff. And she gets some amazing responses from people because she's capturing something, but doesn't have the technical knowledge. And then my brother's a commercial photographer, and he wouldn't dare shoot a building without a tilt shift lens. Do you know what I mean? Like he's like, it can't be done kind of thing. It's that extreme of this one and that one. And at what point you capture a moment. And then when you go to actually, if you were going to shoot Lisbon, you would go, well, I don't know how many days, but I need that. And I need my tripod, and I need all these other things. And when you're shooting, say something like Delta Millworks, are you doing that with a tilt shift lens?
No. Well, if I'm shooting a architectural project for them, then treat it as any of client work. But if I'm running around their mill, it's all handheld. I mean, sometimes but it's very much in the moment. My street photography sort of beginnings of this walking the city just with a camera in hand, it would be more like that. Because which I think
I was gonna say, when you go to a city, like I've traveled an awful lot, and when I used to travel on my own, I'd never take a photograph. Why would I? I'm already there. I can remember what I've seen. And nobody wanted to look at my photographs when I come back. I shouldn't say that. I I didn't used to take many photographs, but nobody kind of wants to sit through the amateur photograph hour, or 4 hours with a description of every moment. And so I was like, yeah, well, I've been here, and sometimes I'd be looking around and I go, wow, that'd make a really cool photograph. So I just observe it and just go, yeah, I love how that looks, like that's
Yeah.
really neat. And then it's just my memory. And then
Right.
there's we now with what we still call phones are basically cameras and media devices we walk around with, and on occasion we use them for a phone call. We, that's probably their least
Right.
common use, it's like a phone call.
Yeah.
And so then you go, oh, okay, with these devices, the number of photos that are out there now is like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And everybody's taking photographs of things, but then there's all these skill pieces. And I think often the skill pieces get better photographs, but then often people are standing taking a photograph. That's their purpose for being there instead of their purpose for being somewhere, being about where they are.
Don't even get me started on I mean, I totally agree with that. It can become I won't say negative, but I've had that for sure before where I'll look back on certain trips and sort of I guess like rate them in my head based on like, well, I didn't really get that many cool photos of that place, so it's not that interesting, or I don't really feel that compelled to go back, or it's like the other side of me wants to sometimes just travel without a camera because it can feel like just a weight of like now if I don't come back with some like really cool images for whatever it is, like they have to have some purpose kind of where you lose a little bit of just the purpose is the trip and just to enjoy yourself and have fun kind of.
I've got some friends from Australia who are photographers and they shoot families. That's what they shoot. They shoot families. That's their thing, and babies and but it's all that family photography piece. And they travel a lot as well. And when they travel, they do their own travel photography, their own photos of their traveling. And they get the most beautiful images, the most beautiful things that they get. And it's because there's no commercialization of it, there's no pressure. It's like, there's kind of the fun. It's like, as a couple, they're just like, oh yeah, that would be fun to create. And it's never about them. It's always about a piece of something. Oh, look at that. How could we have some fun with that? It's like a discovery. And I'm like, how often do you, like shoot when you're doing, when you're traveling? Like they'll be outback Australia or outback Namibia, or they go into the wilderness a lot, like they might be deep in Asia doing things, and they're like, we've often got a camera with us, but it's not a big deal. And then James will go, I just really love this place, so we'll spend extra time there so I can just do photos. So and when they go, they're not under any time pressure. They might be going, oh, we're off for 3 months. We're off for 4 months. They don't have kids or anything like that. So they go, oh, we're going to go and do this. This is their adventure pieces. And it's not about getting photography, but that thing that you said, they're more likely to experience it. And then they go, that was really cool. Let's go back and photograph it. Yeah, go back the next day or the next afternoon or whatever, because they don't have a timeline that they've got to get back to work in 2 weeks or in 2 days or any of those things. And I think often when I'm talking to them, they discover each other and what each other sees through those places.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but they'd be more likely to spend time in a restaurant or a bar or in a, I don't know, in a mountaintop or in a monastery or something like that. They won't have a photograph of it. I'll be like, did you get a shot at that? They'll go, I went to this really, really cool place. You'd love it. It's like all these things. And then I go, so you got a photo? No.
Wow, yeah.
Why would have we
That's
photographed it?
right, right, right.
Yeah. I,
Attitude I have about it.
there's something that they love doing. They'll go to some, like, I don't know, Machu Picchu or something like that. They'll go somewhere like that, and they just photograph people taking photographs, getting selfies. That's what they do. They'll just go,
That's a,
let's burn an hour just taking photos of people photographing themselves in an environment.
do that today, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure there.
And they just like those they will show you and they'll just be laughing their heads off it. The absurdness of this person walked in, got this, and then left again. And it's like they didn't experience it, see it, they just got their photo, it's in their album. We've been there, done that kind of thing. And
Yeah,
so yeah, they'll do, but they snap those on their phone. And they just snap those photos on their
right, right. Yeah.
What else have you got to share with photos, man? I love this
Uh,
building. I'm keen to get to Lisbon. I've never been, so I'm keen to get to Lisbon to see that. I think that's awesome,
yeah,
that picture.
it's the, I'll put it up here.
There's with that particular building, the fact that it's gray and the other buildings are cream. The fact that
Yeah,
the light's playing off one side of those other buildings, and yet the rest of the photos almost all in some shadow. It's
right.
there's so many cool pieces that the light fitting on the wall on the right is as important as the building for context of where you are. Like there's just it's cool. It's really cool. And there's only a couple of like colors in the photo that there's a dot of green at the back and a bit of red towards the front that actually that otherwise it's kind of all this it's all its own muted tones.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
It's what makes it an interesting photo, I suppose. And the way the sun's obviously over on the left-hand side of the shot, not just from
Mm,
where it's hitting the building, but you can see that just faint fade in the sky.
yeah.
I look at it and I try to analyze why does it feel so good? Like, but then
Yeah.
I'd be walking around going, yeah, how do I make the next shot feel like this instead of taking the next shot for what it has to be, letting it do the work, letting
Yeah. 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 I get that.
yeah, show us some more, man. That's great.
So this is kind of shifting a little bit.
Yeah, wow.
This was the one of these sort of first big high profile projects that I got to shoot for Delta Millworks, where it was in right outside, not right outside, it was like 2.5 hours from Austin, in Lakey,
Oh, yeah,
Texas,
sure. I know
on the
Lakey.
Rio River.
Yeah.
And this was for sure one of those projects where kind of what you were mentioning, your brother's take on it, of like wanting to have as much time there as you could.
Yeah,
And this,
I might need a week to get these shots.
right. And even within there, I mean, the homeowners here were like the nicest couple ever. I mean, they were super accommodating and everything. And I believe from what I recall from this one, I had like a day and a half
Nice.
there because they just didn't mind, and Delta had sent me out there and I was staying there nearby. So it was just kind of a free roam of the property, to shoot.
Yeah, cool, man.
And yeah, I think for that reason, this project was particularly special for me, just because it was that.
So
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so for people who aren't looking on YouTube, if you can see, if you're not on YouTube, what we've got is we've got like a dog trot, a little dog trot through the middle of a building here. And for people who are in Australia and not in America or in Texas, a dog trot's when you separate the two buildings but run a roof line over the two pieces and you create a breezeway between two structures. And that's where you would get your cool air coming through. And the dogs wouldn't be allowed inside the house. The dogs would be living in the dog trot underneath. So it's a very traditional kind of piece of architecture that is well, it's used around the world in different places, but very much it has a history. And in Texas, and people in Texas will ask for a dog trot. they want a dog trot and what they're in their homes, so that you get these two separated points and a covered outdoor area that is really just to hold the pieces apart, and give a
Right.
breezeway. And then we've got, is it sunset or is that sunrise?
This was sunset. Yeah.
And so we've got a sunset that's got this really beautiful yellow golden glow, but with a blue sky above it. And you can see it just reflecting down the building, down the timber work of the building. And then I think the magic part is you see it through that window on the left, and that's the sunset we're
Yeah.
seeing. It's not the lighting in the room. It's actually
Right.
the
Right. Yeah.
sunset. Yeah.
Yeah. And that to the right side there, they have this whole sort of the house is like you can kind of tell maybe from the next photo I'll share, but even here, it's up on a
Yeah.
hill.
Yeah.
And so they have this sort of floating terrace living
Mm.
area out there where they the owners were just saying how like every day they're just out there taking in the sunset and just kind of enjoying the view,
Yeah.
which is a pretty one of the one of the cooler views that I've remembered from recent shoots.
Yeah, it's very cool because it's got that beautiful elevation to it, and then it's got that hill line, way over in the back. That obviously that sun's going to set behind. When you're doing a photograph like this, so how did you choose this as being your viewpoint? What goes through your mind? What are you seeing? What were you waiting for? Did you know you were going to get this from the day before, or how did it work?
Yeah, no, I mean, this was definitely I would say like spur of the moment, but it was, I don't think that it was planned. I think that I wanted to show what I remember when I try to place myself back into this moment and knowing sort of the property and what I remembered of it is I'll have some process of elimination of I think if I stepped over to the left and had a straight on view, like I didn't quite like how that looked. And
Hmm.
so if I moved a little bit to here, like you lost a little bit of that. And so a lot of times how I'll find a shot that I like in this case is just a lot of walking around and seeing how it looks at slightly different angles.
Hmm.
And something about this with that like cool solid wood bench that they had there, like you kind of
Yeah.
lost it if it was too straight on to where you didn't get it hit with the light there. And again, I took multiple versions of this one as well. One with someone sitting there as well, but this kind of was the one that I liked most. Um,
So,
and also that as you mentioned the guest bedroom over there with the
yeah, right.
separation so it kind of shows the context of the house as well of like within the other ones of the breezeway there in the middle and you have the separate living area to
Mm.
one side.
I find it fascinating when I'm talking with clients around, take a property like this. It's got extreme big views. Like all
Mm,
the other side of that house looks at amazing views.
yeah.
And a big view, you can be lost in it, like if there isn't
Mm,
a viewpoint, you get lost in the big view. And not saying you shouldn't, but the viewpoint could be your sunset or the viewpoint could be your whatever it is. When we're designing a house, I go, okay, well, I stand on the site, and once I've started to find the feel of the magic of the site, which obviously is partly driven by the visuals of the site, I'm looking for where my viewpoint heroes are. What are those going to be?
mm,
Because if I was on this site, I'd be looking well into my distance to go, okay, there's where we want to focus these rooms or these views on this point. And then what else do we get on other parts of it? And what are our secondary heroes? What are our support cast? And then I try to design with those viewpoints in mind so that we get pieces of the magic of that landscape that hold your eye, as opposed to just seeing everything in your eye, not knowing where to go at different times. So there'd be a morning viewpoint versus an evening viewpoint. What I absolutely love about this photograph is yes, there's the bench, and that really tells you it's got humans in it. But the other one is that room that's lit up, and you're teasing us by not showing us how it was lit up, and the fact that just, if you just stepped a little to the left, we'd see more of the sunset. But here we see more of the architecture, and we get the mystery of thinking about that room, and my eyes taken into that room constantly, even though the others got the bigger view. It's like
Right.
the imagination of living in it. What would that be? What would that piece be? I think it's the genius of photography, being able to create mystery and feel and imagination in the viewer. And yet when you can't feel it, you can only do it through your imagination unless you've been there.
That was, I'll show, because the other one is kind of related to that. So this is basically that room during the day.
Oh, wow.
But this was one of those where I kind of was doing a lot of the heavy lifting for me, I guess you would say, of how you can kind of tell a story with just one shot, I guess, of this room, and be able to show just, not only you're seeing here the room, the architecture, how it's kind of designed, but then you see the driveway and get a greater feel of like, oh wow, this is like a big piece of property that you come in way down through there, up this path, up a hill to get up to the house. And I just loved how both of these, there were two of these rooms sort of kind of identical next to each other, but this one was really the one that showed
because of that driveway.
Because of the driveway, and just you get more of a scope of the height of it, and everything, and like the depth of the space.
So again, like from a design point of view, I look at your photo, the driveway's the viewpoint. I go, there's the journey, you're watching who comes and goes, you've got observation over it. It's like it creates a sense of I want to say that you're safe up here, that you can see what's going on down there. You've got your eyes on the long distance. That's going to tell you the weather. The others, this is like you see dust on that road, and you're like, oh, somebody's here. It's that kind of it lets your mind do this wonderful gymnastics. And from a design point of view, I'm looking for these things in every room that gets built. Is what height are we going to be at to get this, so that we get this, and when we walk into this room, if we go round this way rather than round the other way, then I can get that for you every time. And at different times of the day, that light will shift and you'll get something else. So, this is that sighting of a house, and then sighting of or designing the house to be within its landscape and to give you these moments of stories. And I love that. This one, as I said, saw it. I mean, you've got the chair, you've got the cushion and all the rest, which captures your eye. But then when you look into the photograph, you're actually looking outside the window. The room doesn't matter. It's just a support act.
Yeah.
I love that, man.
Yeah, this was really cool.
Yeah, and the ability to be able to capture that in a photograph so that it gives the viewer the emotion of whatever their past experiences are, but in that context. You're transporting somebody from here to there.
Right.
I'm on a good plane, I'm 24 hours travel from there. So I have been to Lakey though. Yeah, I have been to Lakey.
Yeah, it's a cool little town there.
Isn't it? Texas is full of these cool little towns dotted around. It's What else have you got?
I have one more that isn't about this project, but it's a that I like quite a bit as well. This is actually my dad's. He built a little Airbnb. This is in Puerto Morelos in Cancun, right outside of
Hmm.
Cancun, like 20 minutes from there. And he's not an architect, by any means, or designer, but he's always liked to build his houses and everything, and he has a very sort of particular style that I don't. This was a sort of, I had come from having been shooting architectural photography for a few years, and every time I'd come back to visit, it would be a challenge to try to photograph the property because it kind of broke the conventional. It didn't have these very like obvious shots of like, you
Hmm.
have this is like the perfectly, 1 point square, everything's, lines up perfectly. It's just he had pieced it together through 15 years, so everything was like a mishmash of these elements and this. But this, obviously, this was the main view out, that every morning, when I'd wake up, get coffee, maybe not always quite this early. This was sunrise in
Hmm.
this particular instance, but it was a fun one because I actually had the opportunity, as your brother keeps mentioning, of like, oh, I can try this as many times as I want. Um,
Yeah,
and
you've got a room there. You can shoot it more than
right,
once.
right. And it just kind of became a personal, just kind of favorite image of me trying to piece together what I had learned and trying to apply it with a space that means a lot to me, and a property that means a lot,
Yeah.
and a specific location in that property. This is like where we would spend the most time here,
Out where
and
the chair is or back where you are?
sort of both. I mean, so to the right and left, it's all kind of deck wood,
Uh-huh.
elevated off of the sand a little bit. So everything is still kind of very sand everywhere. And he built these wooden little trails and paths to navigate through the whole property.
He's gonna get booked out once
And this is just kind of leads out to this thing, which again, he had also done things that I like those. He was very much a build out of necessity with the
yeah,
environment sometimes. So
what you have. Yeah, not yeah, it's not
yeah,
curated.
and but those so those sort of concrete walls there were a fairly newer thing after having so many wooden fences knocked over by hurricanes and stuff and all this.
Yeah.
He just kind of got fed up and was like, I need to. That was one of those things where I wasn't always a fan of that because you block the view.
Well, I wanted to ask that. I wanted to ask that. I go, so you've got this, endless view of the water out there.
Yeah.
And this is like, and I've got plenty of friends who are architects. This would be a very, very deliberate move to give you a
Mm,
viewpoint. It would be a very, so yeah, we've got all that, but let's just look at this piece of it. And then from
right.
just over here on the right, I can let you see more of the palm tree if you want to come around this side. But I've blocked it with
Right.
the gate,
Yeah.
And then the beautiful piece of having the two posts on either side that carry the gate extending
Mm,
beyond the wall. It's like,
yeah.
why don't you chop those off at the height of the wall? That's what
That's a good
convention would
question.
tell you to do. But he didn't. And then
Uh,
zigzagging the top of the gate means it's a little awkward if you want to climb over there, and it's
right.
closed. Like it's like, and there's all these, I think, absolutely magical moments that are just made by, in just creating a space, and you've captured it. What does he think of this photograph?
So
Is he your biggest
he
critic, or you don't show him?
he's passed now.
Oh,
I'm trying to remember if I took this after he passed recently in
well,
2023, and he was, I mean, he not the biggest critic. He got to see a little bit of the early architectural work that I did.
uh-huh.
And again, he's a very sort of strong opinions. And being a photographer as well himself, he was always very fun teasing in that
Yeah.
way, and because he would send me out early on to shoot stuff for him when I was 15 years old. I didn't had no idea what I was doing, and so coming back to review those images with him was always a fun, if not sometimes painful, lesson in just what looks good and what doesn't.
Yeah, what you got right and what you hadn't got right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
But
it.
I think this particular image would be a something he wouldn't capture in this way. I think where this is where I brought my the little knowledge I'd had of shooting architecture, of like there's so many straight lines, everything. It's a very sort of calculated image, I
Yeah.
think you would say,
Yeah.
where I don't know that he really went for that type of photography.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think what I learned from him, or maybe what I got from him, and what I put most weight in now, which you kind of mentioned a little bit when you were talking about your daughter, is the eye for certain things. Um, and as we move into this oversaturation, I guess you may call it everyone can photograph stuff, everyone
Yeah.
can shoot anything, and there will be the technical sort of skills that can maybe push you aside from the rest a little bit. But there's still a part of me that feel, and I hate, touting my own horn in any kind of way, but like where the way that I see myself apart from other photographers is just the way that I would see a space compared to, aside from all the technical, because as I kind of learned about, I guess, the non-negotiable rules that you don't want to be breaking within architectural photography. Outside of that, really, I would get into a lot of like photography groups and seeing a lot of other people's work, and I felt maybe that you can get a little bit too into the technical side of things and the rules and the like, well, you need these three strobes and you need to light it from this and shoot it from this, and like I don't know, it all would start to look like the same to me, because
Yeah.
whether obviously spaces and the architecture is different, but when you get too rigid in guidelines and this needs to be lit this way and shot from this, I don't, it takes away a little bit of the fun or the essence of even a space for me, because
Yeah. The thrill of the moment, the thrill of what captured your eye to start with, That's how
right.
I always think of that sort of as like, commercial photography in the studio. Yeah, you're creating the environment. Here, the environment is already created, and you've got to capture the environment. I look at this photo and I go, I don't know how many hundreds others you took before you chose this one, but I go, the fact that the wall, if it had been in line with the horizon, you would have lost the sense of it being the wall to some degree.
Right.
And then so just how much you lift it up, but not so much that you put the gate into the sky space, it's in the water space. And so there's a tension there where you can feel all those pieces. And then, bless your dad, man, using two bits of timber that were cut to the same length, but holding the space of the gate like that, I look at that and I go, there's something. I don't know whether it comes from like being on a farm. I haven't anchored where the point comes from for me yet, but it tells me a story that I go, oh, I want to recreate the story of that photo in something that I'm doing. I go, we're just holding those posts that bit taller, and maybe it's just, I don't know. The zigzag at the top of the gate, both those elements, I go, I want those in a project. I want to do that in a project. I want to find that moment and recreate it in something that, yeah, I love it. I love it. I've drawn it. Even though I'm going to have it on the podcast, I've drawn it here on my pad already. Going, I like those elements and the thoughtfulness or lack of thought, whatever it is. That
No, yeah, it's definitely one of where I never asked him, but just knowing him, I know it was deliberate. I just don't know why or what his reasoning might have been, but he
yeah,
was definitely very a
it was
perfectionist.
by choice. Yeah.
Yeah, by choice for sure. Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that. But that's what distinguishes these fine elements or these little pieces. Some people might not even notice them, but that's what distinguishes it and makes it more interesting. It draws you into the picture. It draws you into the photo. I got a question about morning or evening. So as a photographer doing architectural, what do you get out of either sunrise or sunset that is different?
I tend to prefer sunset. I mean, I'll start the shoot in the morning, but
Mhm.
not quite early to where it's, you're getting the sunrise. And except on rare occasions where you need it. Because there's something about the sunset where you kind of get both the nice soft golden hour light, but then you also get the opportunity of the twilights, which you can kind of, I guess, do at sunrise. But the times that I remember trying, it's just not the same. It's like
Mm.
you're racing the light at the opposite way in some weird way.
Mhm.
Um, and I tend to prefer the twilights for that reason. And I don't know if this is just Austin that I've gotten used to. Like we get some pretty insane sunsets here,
Oh yeah.
and on the opposite end, it can be hit or miss whether the sunrise, like sometimes the sunrise will be completely blocked, and then you won't really get to the sun until like 45 minutes until it's gone, and it's just
Right.
that nice morning light. So it's not always as magical as a sunset can be. But in terms of morning toward evening, like morning light, I
Hmm.
think is tends to be the best for me. Like that
Mm.
right after sunset. Again, it can vary depending on how a given project is designed and where they've placed windows and consideration for light and whatnot. But it tends to favor that nice morning light
Yeah.
more so because sometimes the golden hour, that very harsh, not harsh, but that orange light can overpower a
Yeah.
room for me. Sometimes I don't always like to shoot, and it just kind of blasts this orange everywhere. Sometimes it looks unbelievable, and sometimes it
Yeah.
takes away from what you're looking at.
I totally get what you're saying with that. Like, yeah, it can be the most beautiful part, or it could be the piece that just blows the thing to bits. Even from, the designing space, observing that light. I do a process I call land whispering, and I work with a bunch of other architects around the world that do land whispering as well. And with that, I go to site, and I took this from a photographer, one that was telling me their scouting process, and they said, I'm always there before sun up when I'm scouting. I'm always there before sun up, and I'm always there at sundown. I'm like, so you're there the whole day? And they're like, yeah, maybe 2 days. It makes me laugh when I say this because I give my brother a hard time about that. But that thing of I go to properties before the sun's up. If there's no house on the property, I'll go and I'll spend the time getting a read on where the birds start flying from and getting a feel of it as the land wakes up, as it comes alive, as opposed to as it goes to sleep. And my natural biorhythm is I like evenings because the pressure
Mm.
goes of the day goes off the evening. And then if I want to work late or if I want to hang out late or whatever, there's no there's no pressure. In the morning, I feel like that there's, a monkey that's jumping on my back to get me move, keep me moving all
Right.
day. And I don't get the beauty of the day without that pressure coming onto it. But I do a lot of
Mm.
sunrises or early mornings because I'm a surfer. And so because I'm a
Oh,
surfer, the beach is like 7 minutes from my house, maybe
oh,
10.
wow.
And so I can see it from, I can't see where I surf, but I can see the beach from my home up on a hill. But I'll wake up, I'll open the windows, and won't get into how all that happens, but open up the wall essentially, and see where the sun's rising from. And that I get to go, okay, yeah, like, and I can do a surf check from my
Mm.
place looking down, and there's an island. I can see how it's breaking if it is on the island. I can see the wind in the trees and stuff. But when I go to houses or properties for people to discover what that property can really be and how we might site a house on it, I love to start really early and get that
Yeah,
sunrise. And then there's a piece, I don't know, between say 10 and 2 or something, that give or take, who cares if
mm,
I'm there, but like it's not the exciting part of the day usually. And then as it tapers off into sunset,
yeah,
it's like the pressure of the day kind of winds down, and it's like, oh yeah, cool. Okay, now we can take the time in. And often, I'll take a small fire pit with me, and I'll light a fire and just hang and just watch it as it all goes to sleep, um,
yeah,
and listen to it, because that nocturnal animal piece starts as well, and you hear all the bugs and all the birds, and everything shifts through those different times. And then you
yeah,
go, okay, if I'm going to put a house here, how am I going to do that? But I very much try to put my small understanding of photography into my mindset for those
really.
viewpoints. So I'm always fascinated by
Mm,
how photographers tell a story, how good photographers tell a story. And you've got that gift.
mm.
You've got that gift of telling
Oh,
stories
thank
with
you.
photography. It's lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah. If
I
somebody
appreciate that.
was going to take up photography, what put you in the position where, like you told us about obviously the travel, and then you looked at the architectural side, but you must have other interests, and like we were saying before we started recording, what about, why didn't you decide to photograph cars? Why didn't you decide to photograph models? Why not those things, or airplanes or whatever? Why houses? Why,
Sure.
why that over the others? Because you could have done any. You've got the skill. It's something that,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. That's kind of you to say. I think that aside from maybe falling into it a little bit through a bit of luck and
and
stuff
Delta, yeah.
with Delta, because as I was saying, like after that trip to Europe and the photos I got there, what was in my mind was how does one make money from travel photos, right? I was like, this is what I was very passionate about is I like to go to a place, see whatever piques my eye, capture it, but there's not like sure you can kind of grow a little bit of a following on social media and do that, but there's not necessary and there's I guess the art photography of like selling it as
Uh-huh.
a which again I dabbled in. It's just all those avenues were they just seemed very limiting or extremely difficult to really make a living out of. And so then when I found myself going down this path of architecture, I naturally had a love and passion for it. I found it was like I wouldn't even want to say in a negative connotation, like the next best thing after, travel, landscape stuff, but it was so closely related.
Yeah.
And the methodology of how that type of photography works and the slow paced
Mhm.
sort of find the compelling shots and take your time, wait for the light, was very much in line with how I am, and how
As a
I
as opposed to being the wedding photographer where it's got to happen. And like I
yeah,
take
exactly.
my hat off to the great wedding photographers, man alive, man
Yeah,
alive. They're
absolutely.
wrangling
That's
emotions of everybody, crowds of people, light, time. Oh my God. Oh my God.
right.
Go them. Go them. I'm a
Totally.
bit like you with if it was architectural, I'm like, yeah, there's a pace you can take it at.
Yes.
And even with
Yeah.
commercial, I look at what my brother does with commercial, and if he's shooting, things, you've got a time frame with architectural because you can't have somebody's house forever to take photos in.
Mhm.
Um, but with commercial as well, you've usually got like this client's drive of time that is required to get to a point. And I know the pressure that gets felt with that, like, so you need these amazing photos of this thing or of this element or these elements, and you've got to be creative with that and create it in a studio scene, as opposed to, I suppose, in your case with architecture photography, somebody's already done that part of the work. You've got to get there and
Right.
then unlock its magic. Do you have some tips for unlocking magic, like how you
Uh,
how you process, how you go? I know I have a process when I go to a new piece of land, and or even I have a process if it's going to be a renovation or an addition. I very much have a process of steps that I take that set me up for success in the bigger picture. Do you have something like
yeah.
that?
I mean, I suppose the easy answer, which is the bit of a cop out because it's one of these again going back to the following whatever your eye is going towards, but that's not. I mean, that can vary so much for any given person that
Hmm.
it's not really a followable, I guess, advice. I would say if you don't feel that you naturally gravitate toward or moving in a certain direction, I would early on maybe lean on working more alongside the architects and designers that have hired you, because I mean, I'll never know the property and the project better than they will.
Hmm.
Because I have, one day,
Hmm.
two if I'm lucky, in a project they've worked, years sometimes on it. So I early on and still now every client is different, but I'm very much okay with allowing them to kind of impart on me, like, these elements are what really I love about this project and why I designed it this way and why I want to showcase it this way. And then
Yeah.
from then try to apply your technical expertise of, like, this might look better this way or this angle or whatnot, or maybe punch in closer to this. But I think that every photographer at some point has to kind of develop this eye, whether you don't sort of have it straight away. With time, you'll learn what you like and kind of what you don't like, what draws you in, and what your style is more than anything, I guess.
Mm.
Maybe you can consume a lot and try to learn from other photographers that you admire, that you like, and try to do your job at mimicking that at first, and then you slowly kind of shed
Fine.
that
Yeah.
shed that and find your own kind of thing, and then that will help you attract, I think, the type of people, the type of clients that you would want to work with to begin with,
Yeah.
because that's what I always try to hang on. Still being very, very early on in shooting architecture, at least, is being able to build a portfolio to show
Yeah.
and have this sort of this I guess, mentality of if someone's coming to me, if someone wants to work with me and they've seen what I can do, then that gives me a level of peace of like, you're hiring me for this, I can do this. So I
Yeah.
have no problem where, if they're like, oh, we like this guy's look, can you try to do that? It can kind of
Yeah.
get into,
Yeah.
maybe go a different direction.
I
And,
think
that, yeah.
I was going to say, I think there's a really valid point in that. So architects tend to be pretty prescriptive as people because there's so much thought that goes into how somebody's going to live and how a house is going to live and how the landscape's going to accept the house and so on and so on. There is so much that is ridiculous. And there's so much deliberate execution of all that thought into a space. So they tend to be pretty prescriptive. And then
Mm,
letting go of it's not even their baby, they've done it for somebody else. Letting go of their baby into the hands of another artist
yeah.
and saying, you take me to what that could be is like
Mm,
this very critical attention, like it's very easy to critique what somebody does when they're capturing your baby as such. Whereas if you were shooting, say, Formula One, the cars are coming
right.
past, the moment's happening, you're just going to shoot what's happening. And if you're going to shoot the pit lane, or whatever, there's moments that are going to develop in that thing, and you go, yeah, okay. And then there's the magical happy captures. If you're going to shoot clothing, like I've worked with tons of fashion photographers, getting the right mood, the magic, and all the rest, and then bringing the models out so that they give. It's like, when you see somebody who's a singer and their connection with the words and the pace and the mood of the song is so personal to them that you're getting a piece of them. You're getting a piece of them. And I think that that's part of the magic of great photography is when it goes beyond just capturing a moment or capturing a thing. You're getting a piece of
Mhm.
you're getting a piece of the soul of the person. you know Again,
Oh, yeah.
this photo that you've still got up here, I look at it and there's in the reflection on the pool, you see a different set of the clouds than you would see because of the palm tree blocking them. And yet
Right.
it's a near perfect reflection, but of course it's got an angle there that brings something different. And it's like you're getting a view into another world from it. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're getting, I don't know. I think that you've got a great eye for being able to put mystery and adventure into a photograph. And I've seen all the photographs you've done for the homes tour, and I'm
Mm,
I'm excited to see where those properties based on the fact of there's an adventure in them. There's the bits that you haven't
yeah.
shown as well as the bits that
Yeah.
you have shown. And
Yeah.
that's the fun part. That's the really fun part. And because I saw the photographs first, as I'm talking to the architects of each one, I know what's coming from what they're going to, from when they show me a photograph, I may know your dialogue on it, or I've already developed my own dialogue on it. And then I'm
Right.
waiting to hear their dialogue on it
Yeah.
and why they created it and all the rest. It's like putting the rest of the puzzle together.
Right.
It's fascinating. It's fun to do it and have your eye and your knowledge put into that as well, and then my analytics of what you've done as
Mm,
well. Yeah,
for all those, yeah. When they start rolling out, just because
you,
I mean, some of the architects I didn't get to meet, very few. I was lucky to be able to work with most of them on the day, but the ones that I didn't, I'll be very curious just to kind of hear their take on the project and everything, and just
yeah,
read
cool.
that way. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think you've done a fabulous job with the photos for them, and then the other photos you've just shown us as well. I really love
Mhm.
that, and I would say to people, go and look at Delta Millworks. and have a look at through some of their photos as well,
Yeah.
because there's some, but I had them there before I scrolled while we were talking, and I'm like, oh wow, okay, cool. There's some really cool stuff in there that just
Okay.
captures moments of stuff. And you were saying about, made me want to laugh, because there is that project that you shot where there's a cat in every picture. And we were
Yeah.
saying before about having a human in every picture. The beauty of the cat in every picture is you would have had to spend 2 days to try and get the cat out of the picture, because it was going to be
Right.
there regardless. The diva cat turning
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But then also letting that make the magic, making a piece of magic in the photo. Like, I think that's it's brilliant. It works. It tells story and gave context. I think it was lovely. But yeah, like that thing of having people in your photos when it's an architectural photo. I have a thing that I love, but I wouldn't want it in every photo.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the person, I always love that ghosting effect. So they're moving through the photo, so
Right.
they're not
Right.
clear. But you don't want that as every photo. And if that isn't what you shoot, then why prescribe it?
Yeah.
Ask that question before the hire. Go, I'm gonna really want one of these kind of things. Do you do that kind of thing? And would you do that kind of thing, or do you do that kind of thing? But asking them to shoot like X when they are X, I go, hold on a second. You're hiring an artist. You're hiring an artist to do magic. So let the artist be magical.
Yeah.
Let them bring their skill. Yeah.
Which
So
I've heard from some of my clients, that architects as well, that y'all run into that version of that as well, where you'll get people that do this for me, where you're
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
you're hiring me for my kind of artistic vision as well, not just
yeah.
as you say, very prescriptive. Just do these things, and
You
yeah,
get you do get that. You get this. You get people who want something. I had a job like this a little while back where they said to me, they rang me up and they said, oh, we really would love, and they said the name of a designer, a house, one of his houses. And I said, well, why are we talking? And they were like, well, because he's got a big name and he's really expensive. And I go, that's why he's got a big name. Not because he's
right,
expensive, because he does great work. Go and hire him. And
yeah,
they're like, well, could you do something like it? And I go, yeah, of course, but why would I?
yeah,
Why would I? I go, if you want a Mercedes Benz or you want a Porsche, go and buy it. Buy which one you
right,
want,
yeah,
but don't go and ask somebody who makes, I don't know, whatever, to make you one of those. And they were like, right, okay. So they did go and hire the guy, which I'm like, good on you. Anyway, they did that. And a year and a bit later, they came back to me and said, we didn't get what we wanted. And I'm like, why not? I said, you went and hired the guy that was going to give you what you wanted. How could you not get what you wanted? And they were like,
yeah,
they used the kind of the car analogy on me and said, well, we realized we didn't want that car when we got it. Well, they didn't get the house. They never built it. We got all down this process and they spent the money of getting the design, but it
right,
wasn't what they wanted. And so will you design a house for us? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to give you what you want if that's what, we've got to approach it wholly new. And anyway, just this whole thing. And then I can tell them, I could tell everybody now why they didn't get what they want. And
yeah. Get an idea. Well,
yeah, exactly. And in that, they couldn't work out really what it is as a couple and also individually as to what it was that they wanted. They couldn't
yeah,
be clear about getting that. And, you know, they'd gone to this other guy who gave them what they asked for, and they'd gone hands off so that he could
mm,
do what he could do. And then they came to me where I was very, very hands on and having them hands on. And that was I would say, too intense for them as well. There's probably a
Right.
happy medium in between
Sure.
where me really digging into, who they are as people. Yeah, it's just really interesting, eh? So yeah, the same thing happens. The same thing
Oh,
happens. Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's just there are difficult clients everywhere, I would assume, and
yeah.
every.
Then the
Yeah.
thing with these people, they're not difficult people. They are wonderful,
Yeah.
really, really interesting, lovely people that do, like they're retired, but they play in the markets with different things and do different stuff still. They're retired from their business, but they still are
Mhm.
very active. So they're interesting and they're into arts and they're into all these things, but they and really fabulous. But when it comes to actually kind of pulling all that together to make a house, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a whole nother story. And I get it. I totally get it. And I get with what you do, how that hire you to do what you do and then give you enough free rein to do it, but give you enough uh,
Mm,
guidance to keep you within what the outcome needs to be. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, man. So what do you see like the next few years looking like as far as the trends that you're seeing in architecture? Because you get to capture it at the end of its journey often.
Yep.
What do you see is happening out there with architecture?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think that there's a lot of, at least again, coming from someone very new to this world and not being able to maybe recognize past trends of what it's been. To me, it
Mhm.
feels like just seems like it's happening with everything, but there seems to be such a explosion in growth uh, in not only the amount of architects, but that are like quality architects as well coming through, to where with everything like choices become a big thing in it. And within that, what I've seen in Austin at least is like a very cool, diverse, sort of unique style of art. Like everyone here seems to be doing their own thing in a way. At least the some of the ones that I've gotten to see through social media or whatever. I've not gotten to work with all these architects per se, but there seems to be an emergence of this, artistry in a way of, you have like the Mel Lawrences where it's these visionary architects where it's, give me the room and the space to create something for you, and a little bit of kind of being open to that as a
Yeah,
client
yeah,
rather, getting a more cookie cutter or this or a more standard
yeah, yeah.
outcome. And I just tend to gravitate towards those very, very risky, but very
They're being
new.
artists.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just kind of trying new things and creating. And again, even from not having done it that long, it's always special to see a new project and have it feel like something that I've not seen before, or just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a new thing on the same kind of thing, and you go in and you do. And this particular gig with the homes tour was a real crash course in that, because it was so much shooting compressed in such a short period of time that it was a conscious choice of mine to try to separate a little bit of to have it not feel almost like robotic at points of
yeah,
like,
yeah,
we're at shoot number 8. It's time to do room this. This is the ninth shoot. Now we're doing this, and try to still sort of take in each project as its own thing, and try to reframe, I guess, and reset a little bit.
but still
But
get the formula that's required. I totally
right,
get this because I do
yeah,
I do a TV show and it's formulaic in
right,
what will happen. And I turn up and the crew will be there And sometimes we get there at the same time. Sometimes I might get there before them, but I don't travel with them always. So often I'll turn up, the crew will just be arriving and getting themselves set up, and I'll walk around with the producer and go. So I know what shots we're going to get. I know the formula, of course, and I'll be like, okay, cool, so tell me what you want here, what you want there. Okay, great, great, great. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then I'm like, how do I mix this up? How do I mix this up? How do I bring enough fresh energy to it? Because
Mm,
it's the house we just did, different house, different context, but we're going to shoot the same formula. And
right.
and we're doing it like you did the Austin Homes. I might do that for a week in the month. And so sometimes I might be shooting, two places in a day, early morning to
Yeah.
night. Other times I might just be shooting one place in a day, depending on where location is and all the rest. But the production company goes, we need X amount of footage to get to X amount of like minutes on TV to get to whatever.
Mm,
And like I love to go, yeah, but that's boring. Let's try this as a shot as well. Like I love to get, with the producer or and go, what about if did something like this? Or what about if I did this? Or could I take this way? And yeah, just finding ways to mix it up. And then when I
yeah.
actually see the final edit, I go, I know what landed on the editing floor. How often it is the pieces that I've gone, let's mix this up.
But still, I think if it helps you in
I
the moment, it'll. I mean, because there is a reason that those formulas are because they work, and
yeah.
even within this photography, it's good to have as a baseline to get the job done and
Uh-huh.
not get
Yeah.
too lost in the whole thing of it. But just to have it not become stale for yourself, it's good to have those things to mix it up and throw all, as you just said, I'll throw in a weird off the wall shot, and it may not make the final selection, but it's still you're doing something different and you're
You're
trying something,
exploring. Yeah.
exploring. Yeah,
That the adventurer and like in you comes to life, and then you find, I think, like you can't beat time as a teacher and experience. You
yeah,
can't beat those.
yeah.
And time and experience, if you've got those, then being adventurous within your time and experience is what keeps the magic alive. And that's where you find new pieces. I was talking to a client the other day and she said, where did that idea come from? And I said, well, I invented that idea in my head. I like to give myself constructs that make me think differently. And so I said, even though I need to block the western sun, I want to start my roof low on the east and bring it high on the west, even though that's opposed to what the natural rhythm of the site and all the rest does. I wanted to do that. And she's like, why? And I said, I wanted to see what it made me do. I wanted to see how it would make me solve a problem. I wanted to see how it would change how you would live in it. I wanted to do all those items to it to create something, to make my mind create something unexpected. It might have just been
Mm-hmm.
discovery, but now we're sitting here, you're saying to me, you like this piece and this piece. And I'm going, okay, well, can I put those back into my old context? Or do I have to carry on in this new context to get this, this kind of thing? And she's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like almost looking at me as, why would you do that when you already had a successful piece? And I'm going, it's the adventure. It's what we discover. And when I can take it from there and use it here, it's that piece that makes the difference. And so I love that spirit of the adventure, and you get it. I know I could see it in what you do when you were talking about the traveling, and not just
Mm-hmm.
getting caught behind the lens of the camera, but getting
Yeah,
into the experience and then going, okay, yeah, cool. I'll get some photos here in this
yeah,
part. But yeah, you go away to take photography and you do photography, and then you go away to eat food and meet people, and you go away and eat food and meet people and take the odd photograph, you know?
yeah.
And you do both those things on both those occasions, but one's got a deliberate focus. Yeah. Rob, been fun chatting, man. I think that anybody who is interested in getting into architectural photography, or if they are an architectural photographer, there's a lot in here that they
Hopefully.
can. Yeah, no, I think there is, man. I think there is. And then without being, overly prescriptive, you've got this eye, you've got this developed style, and it's not that, it's fairly fresh even as a developed style, because you're still discovering it, like you said. So I think that's really fun. Really, really cool. So thank you so much for making time to join us and share your genius. And once we'll put this out, but same time there'll be the Austin Homes Tour ones that come out, and everybody's going to get to see your work there as well in these particular pieces. And I think that would be really cool. Really, really cool, man. You've done an awesome job.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, and thanks for the invite again. It was great, great talking to you again.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed getting to know you better, man.
Me too. Yeah, I hope I'll see you in October.
Yeah. You've got that yacht. You've got that yawl down for an import to Texas. Cool, man. Take care. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye.
Cheers, man. Bye. Thank you for tuning into our conversation. I hope it left you both informed and inspired. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen. And please don't hesitate to share your design thoughts with me. It's always a joy to hear from you. If you're like me and crave a deeper dive into design thinking, coupled with a love for travel and adventure, consider one of my architectural adventures. Join me and some of my wonderful design friends and embark on a journey of a lifetime. Apply for an unforgettable design experience at adrianramsey.com. With our clients spanning the globe, I firmly believe behind every great project are great people. If you're a great person and seeking to turn your dream into a reality, I'd be honored to design your home with you. Why not join the ranks of our exceptional clients and let's make your heart sing? Reach out to me at studio@ardesignhouse.com. That's studio@ardesignhouse.com, and let's get a conversation going and make your heart sing.